this is Dr. Bob Johnson from Vital 100 Podcast. I welcome you today. We have a very special treat from talking with a person who has been my friend for many years, who's been my patient, confidant, and I have just enjoyed watching her progress in so many areas in life. May I introduce to you Lessandra MacHamer.
Hi.
Hi.
And thank you for that introduction. Makes me seem real important, which I'm not, but I do have a lot to say.
Yes, I know she does, and that's why she's here. So let's start out by having you talk a little bit about your background and you know, how you've started to arrive at this point where we can interview and talk about your health issues.
Health, yeah, okay. Well, quickly, my background is in television production. I was with NBC Today Show for many years as a producer and field producer, and had 30 years there. It was one of those jobs, and that's when I met you, when I was involved in NBC, because it was Today Show, you're at the studios at 5:30. I had two young kids at the time, and I had to be setting up the show all night, and with kids and all that is, I would get maybe 4 hours and 15 minutes, I would count minutes, of sleep every night, and I did that for 20 years. And I mean, obviously, it's not a good, healthy thing to do. And I left NBC because, you know, I needed to, you know, get my adrenal glands back in order. And I met you about that time, and you were incredibly interested and concerned about me as I was telling you what my day was like, and you said, well, you need to get some more rest. I can't get any more rest, you know. Well, then let's see what we can do. I have to give my husband credit for finding you, because at the time he was looking for a holistic dentist who would help clean up his toxic mouth with because of all the fillings and so forth. And he found you, and he still to this day says, I found Dr. Bob. Okay, you found Dr. Bob. And we've all benefited from it, but that was way, way back. I don't know, in the 80s maybe, early 80s, late 70s. No, 80s, I'd say. But you would listen to me and give me some, you know, encouragement, and, you know, try to get a little, you know, some exercise and sleep and so on and so forth. Anyway, it started way back then. I have since moved from NBC to a great, very creative job with museums, with media and museums, making films and writing scripts. And so that has been a wonderful creative change in my life. And that has helped me also. Got more rest, a little more, the schedule was it wasn't like news. It wasn't so deadline oriented. Right.
Now, I want to interrupt here and say that I've worked with you in the capacity not only as a holistic dentist, but also as a health consultant and so forth. So would you be able to share with us some of that health journey, and also as you come to certain areas that you've learned that caused some of your health issues, like you now discovered that you need to get more sleep or whatever. So discuss a little bit about your health journey.
Wow. Well, I think I painted the picture of what my health was like when I met you, and I had that pretty awful schedule of sleep deprivation, and what to do about that, how to maintain, you know, your job, your life, your children, and all of that, but not fall asleep at stop signs and hope for a long red light because you can take a nap, you know. Really, really, it's an awful feeling. But you, Bob, helped me with it. I think it was the psychology of how important are you? You know, what is important in your life? Well, sure, a job and the kids and all that, but if you are broken down, which is what was happening to me, it's, you know, you're not going to be a help, you're not going to be a mother that's, you know,
Right.
that can contribute anything, or and your work is going to suffer. So I have had the benefit of you all of these years as my health coach, even though, you know, it was the unofficial health
Right.
coach, but you would encourage me. You would, whether it was with supplements or changing my way of eating, sleeping, diet, well, eating, diet, exercise, taking time for myself. All of those things brought my vitality up and gave me a greater energy.
Right.
So that was early on, and I think through the years, and one thing I want to note is that sometime along the way, I think it was about 10 years ago, you got into the video world and wanted to do, you know, more, you wanted to do videos for a website and YouTube and that kind of thing. So because I was kind of in the business behind the camera, we started doing videos. So I was able to, as I would videotape you, and you would talk about topics. I mean, we had, the topics were expansive. I mean, whether it was the dangers of fluoride, or EMFs, or supplements, or the 10 steps to, you know, vital, healthy wellness, and, you know, all of those things. I was able to learn, and listen, and I'd ask questions, and that was part of my, I mean, that's like health coaching, which is something that you do now.
Right.
And it's so important, because if you don't have someone that you could ask questions and get very clear answers and a direction, you
Right.
know, okay, why don't you try this, or do this, or change this, and my health changed. For sure, and I was able to be, you know, better in every part of life. You know, it was a slow, I think we've gone back so long, it was a slow process of...
Health is a journey.
It is a journey. And as you used to always say, enjoy the journey.
Yes.
But if you don't feel so good, it's hard to enjoy it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you gave me that. You gave me a different outlook on health, the importance of me, doing things for me. I remember I'm a nurturing person, and you used to say, you know, you do so many things for so many people, but what about you? Where do you find time for yourself, and do you have those moments that you can just step back from life and center yourself?
Right.
So it was from, I mean, education, encouragement, direction, guidance, all of those things you've helped me through.
Right.
Wow, I think that through the years I've had, just different situations with heavy metals, you know, things that were, you know, in my body that I needed to detox, I needed to get rid of, I needed to mitigate somehow, and you would give me wonderful direction there and guidance.
Right.
And I would listen to you because you knew what you were talking about. And I have to say, with these videos that you do, and they would be, what, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, you know, short, but you would educate in such a clear and well, exciting it was, because you were opening people's eyes to a different way of being and living. And and it was it's incredibly helpful. I love the video work.
Right. Well, a couple things here. First of all, I think it's important to realize that probably the most important part of people's health is education, and to learn what is healthy, what's not healthy, what their goals are, what they want to achieve, but how to get to those goals, whether it's good health or higher energy. So I look at my part of as more education than anything. Now, people have to take that advice if they want to achieve their goals, but that's important, is the education part and the compliance, or people using that information put it into their health. So that's important. And the other thing that you've touched on very nicely is how important self is. So many people are supporters, they're nurturers of everybody else, their family, their kids, their spouse, their coworkers, and so forth, and they forget about themselves. And why it's important to do health for themselves, one is because you want to be around a long time with high energy and not be ill and so forth. But the other thing is you feel so much better when you do it. And I find many people who are helping everybody else except for themselves sometimes get kind of resentful, and it's like they come to a point and they go, when is there something for me? And so I say that without being selfish, it's important to realize that your health is important. What am I doing for myself? Am I getting out and exercising for half an hour? Am I going and enjoying whatever I like to do, whether it's read or go to the movies or whatever? But you really have to, both from a physical and energetic, but also a mental, emotional thing, is that that considering oneself is so important, and you've done that. It's
true. The other thing that impresses me about you is that you listen. You would often ask me is, how are you feeling? And I'd say, oh, okay. And you said, well, you're getting, good sleep and going to the gym or exercising or doing something. No. But then we just talk about it. But you would listen to, what was going on in my life, and from that you would suggest.
Right.
And hey, I went. And as a matter of fact, I did go to the gym this morning. I was there at 8:30.
Good.
And you said to me that the morning you found, and you don't put anything on anybody. You just say, my experience is in the morning, it's great to exercise early,
right,
because then you get everything going, and that's it seems to be that's a better time to do it, and then you'll give the physical or the physiological reasons for it, which is always very impressive. I've always said something about everything.
Right.
You agree?
I think I know a lot.
You do. You are a holistic.
Well, it's interesting you mention that, because there's an expression that says, the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
And many times I'll start to learn new things and I'll go, oh my God, I don't know that area. And so it's constantly upgrading what one knows, and so forth. I was going to make a comment on the listening part of it, and that is, so one thing you mentioned that I want to bring out, and that is the importance of listening. And there's two reasons for that. First of all, it better directs me as to what I can do to help you. As opposed to, well, I think you should do this and this, without listening. That is not the best way to work with someone. So listening to someone allows me to better address your issues in a more effective way. The second thing is that it helps build a relationship. And if someone feels like they're being listened to, and that their issues that they come to the doctor for, or the health coach or consultant, if they're listening to that, then they feel like they can open up and they can express their issues, and that has two issues. One is they are more compliant because they've been listened to, but also they've had research that showed that the immune system is stronger when there's a better relationship between the client and the health coach. So there's a number of reasons why it's important to listen, and it's something that takes a while to train how to do. I mean, you get educated and you think, I know everything, and I'll tell the patient what they need and so forth. So it takes some training to truly actively listen to someone and to address your recommendations according to what they say, and you need to listen for that.
That's right.
So,
and it's a form of respect to listen to someone and trust, like you say.
Right.
And that's interesting about the immune system.
Yes.
I mean, I love the immune system. It's just it's so it's fascinating how you can help it.
Right.
Not manipulate it, but allow it to work. I mean, I was trying to think, Bob, of the different health situations I've had that you have turned around for me, and it's hard to get specific with any one thing. I mean, I think I have generally not felt good. I didn't have energy. I was, it was just, it was difficult. There are a couple of tools that you have introduced me to. One is the Zyto, which is that, you could explain it better than I, but I just call it a diagnostic tool that has helped me, helped you see what it needs, what is off, off balance, off, and how I can change that so that it balances back. And every time that you have, given me the readout, and then we've repaired, what needs to be done with supplements and different things. I mean, it's been incredible. Incredibly effective. And so that has been very impressive, and I know that, so many people could benefit from that. The other is the Beamer.
Okay.
I love
Talk a little bit about the Beamer from your perspective.
Now, the Beamer, I've known Mr. Beamer for, I don't know, for a year, I think, before I actually purchased one. And I would use yours or go to a presentation, and they would have one that you could get on. And so you could feel the difference almost immediately. And the Beamer it's microcirculation. And, if you don't think that's important, well, ask Dr. Bob, because he'll tell you. But it makes such a difference. And my husband and I use it every day, twice a day. And it is, it's energizing. It's like all of a sudden your body has become alive. And it's like, yes, so happy because it has circulation. And I remember I was telling you that my hands were getting numb at night. And you said, well, maybe it's magnesium. Is that right? So we added that, and that helped. And then when I got the Beamer, it's just totally gone. Right. So there have been things that have come up in my life, in my health, that I think if we hadn't, and you hadn't addressed them and educated me of what's going on, and we changed, made some changes, I would be in a lot worse shape. And I would be, my secret of longevity is Dr. Bob. No, really. The things that you have introduced me to and presented to me have made a huge difference.
I have to say this on that regard, is that when I see that I've changed someone's life around, that is the most wonderful feedback, and it just makes me feel so good, and maybe that helps me be a better practitioner, because that's my goal, is to help people become healthier and to have a vastly improved quality of life.
Well, I think people don't understand how different it could be if you were healthier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you made some changes,
Right.
and that you know, that, I mean, you read about it, but until you actually do something, like exercise,
Right.
key.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, sleep,
Right.
key.
Right. Well, a lot of people, because health issues, whether it's diabetes or whether it's chronic fatigue or chronic pain or whatever, it doesn't happen right away. It may take several months, it may take several years to develop. And so they just attribute that to, well, I'm getting older and so forth, without realizing, or they take a drug and it masks the symptom, without realizing that there can be things that can really, you know, take years off your life or add years to your life, healthy years, so that you can have a vastly improved quality of life. And the fact that you are so open and you have been really willing to learn this stuff has changed your life remarkably. And so a lot of people, they don't realize what the end product of top health can be, and so they don't take an appropriate supplement, or they don't have a lifestyle change. And that's where something like the Zyto that you mentioned and things that I can tell them to specifically improve their life. And as you have noted, oh my God, in the last 6 months or a year or 2 years, I'm so much better now than I was when I was falling apart.
Yeah.
So that's neat.
And falling apart takes a lot of time. You know, your body is so amazing that it will try to, you know, get past all the things you're doing to it, but it's slowly just
Exactly.
struggling. And you don't realize it until you got diabetes or you got something, you know, something. And so what you're doing for people and educating them is to get them to see and understand what the body's capable of.
Right.
If you allow it to heal, if you allow it to, you know, breathe and be hydrated. You know, water is so important.
Oh my God,
And
yes.
I mean, God. So, I mean, they're like 5 things. If you did water and sleep and exercise and, you know, a few supplements and Zyto and, you know, I mean, wow.
Yeah.
You could live to be 110 and you'd feel fantastic.
I know.
I mean,
I
you know,
that.
really. 100, when I worked at NBC, part of my job was as a producer for the birthday segment or the weather segment for on the Today Show, and it was all about centenarians, 100-year-olds,
Yes.
and their secret of longevity, you know, ran the gamut. But it was to see them, to see these vital people.
Right.
You know, one was still taking salsa dance lessons, and another. For my 100th birthday, I got a red Mustang. Okay, you know, it's just
Go for it, Grandma.
Go for it, but you know, there's no reason for us not to live a healthy, vital life.
It is, and people have to realize that both environmental challenges and the food challenges, and if you're taking quite a few medications and so forth, that really sets your health back tremendously. So when you are able to talk about this in a very experiential way that you experience, but in a very open way, and you express it so articulately, then that just helps people so much understand what's possible. So I want to thank you very much for this, and although you have spent many years behind the camera filming people, you have learned so much, and you are just wonderful in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Maybe a new career for you.
See. Yeah, right.
Maybe a new career.
Thank
so I very much appreciate it, and
I appreciate you and all that you've given me, and you give so freely to so many people. I mean, you put it out there.
Well, thank you very much. So I hope this is a learning experience and it helps many people. Again, this is Dr. Bob Johnson from Vital 100 podcast. I hope you tune into our website, which is vital100wellness.com, and give us a like on Facebook. Take care and enjoy the journey. If you haven't subscribed to our newsletter and be on our mailing list, it's vital100wellness.com. And we'd love to have you tune into our YouTube channel and give us some feedback on it and take a look at some of these podcasts.